Our lesson today is on Saint Mark the Evangelist. He was born in approximately 12 AD, was martyred in 68. He is venerated in all of the Christian churches, both Western Christian and Orthodox Christian. His feast is 25 April in both Catholic and Eastern Orthodox, Anglican and Lutheran, all venerating him. What is interesting is that in the Gregorian calendar and in the Julian calendar, the one we use, the date of his veneration is the same through year 2099. He is the patron of barristers, Venice, Egypt, Coptic Christians, and Mena. In the history of Saint Mark the Evangelist, we run into the problem of misidentification, or the inability to fully and with accuracy identify the Saint Mark the Evangelist from the other persons named Mark that spent significant time around the disciples, and, to some, there is a family or familial affinity. Barnabas has a cousin named Mark who comes in and out of the Acts of the Apostles periodically. Within Acts, there is a gentleman named John Mark. And then there is Mark the Evangelist. And at times he is John Mark, and at times he is Barnabas' cousin, because he travels with Barnabas and Paul on their missions. Mark was an evangelist, one of the 4 men who wrote the Gospels found in the New Testament. Mark's Gospel was the first written, and it is the shortest, with the descriptions of Jesus' life, death, resurrection, and ascension. Mark's writings helped both Matthew and Luke to write their Gospels. Mark was not one of the original apostles, and he probably never knew or met Jesus. Instead, we believe that he was a member of the first Christian community. In his writings, St. Peter refers to Mark as his son. Peter may have used this term to show his love of Mark, or he may have used it because he was the one who baptized Mark. According to Eusebius of Caesarea, Herod Agrippa I, in his first year of reign over the whole of Judea, circa 41 AD, killed James, the son of Zebedee, and arrested Peter, planning to have him killed after Passover. Peter was saved miraculously by the angels and escaped out of the realm of Herod. Peter went to Antioch, then through Asia Minor, visiting the churches in Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, and arrived in Rome in the 2nd year of Emperor Claudius, approximately 42 AD. Somewhere on the way, Peter encountered Mark and took him as a traveling companion and interpreter. Mark the Evangelist wrote down the sermons of Peter, thus composing the Gospel according to Mark, before he left for Alexandria in the 3rd year of Claudius. Mark travelled with Saints Paul and Barnabas to spread the good news about Jesus. During his imprisonment in Rome, Paul mentions Mark's concern for him and writes about how helpful Mark is in the ministry of helping others to believe in Jesus Christ. This will be found in Colossians and in Timothy. According to the tradition, in 49 AD, about 19 years after the ascension of Christ, Mark travelled to Alexandria and founded the church of Alexandria, which is today the Coptic Orthodox Church, also the Greek Orthodox Church of Alexandria, and the Coptic Catholic Church of Alexandria, which all trace their origins to this original community. Aspects of the Coptic liturgy can be traced back to Mark himself. Mark became the first bishop of Alexandria, and he is honoured as the founder of Christianity in Africa. Mark founded the church in Egypt, and he became the bishop of Alexandria, an important centre of trade and power during these ancient times. He died there in 68 AD as a martyr for his belief in Jesus. Again, according to Eusebius, Mark was succeeded by Anius as the bishop of Alexandria in the 8th year of Nero, probably but not definitely due to his coming death. Later Coptic tradition says that the Evangelist was martyred in 68. Some, however, think these actually refer to Mark, the cousin of Barnabas, see what I said, serving with him in Rome. From Pentapolis, he made his way to Alexandria. When Mark returned to Alexandria, the pagans of the city resented his efforts to turn the Alexandrians away from the worship of their traditional gods and idols. So in AD 68, they placed a rope around his neck and dragged him through the streets of the city until he was dead. Mark's Gospel is a lasting treasure for all believers. He wrote his Gospel to help people know that Jesus was the Son of God, who suffered and died to save us from sin and death. When we read Mark's Gospel, we learn that to be a follower of Jesus, we too must be willing to make sacrifices, to take up our cross and follow him. To follow Jesus just as he asks us to do. The symbol for Mark is a lion with wings. That is because his gospel begins with the story of John the Baptist as a voice crying in the wilderness, like the roaring of a lion. Lions are called the kings of the jungle. Thus Mark's gospel tells us about Jesus' royalty as God's Son, a kingship we share through our baptism. We celebrate St. Mark's feast day on April 25, with the Gregorian and Julian calendars being in sync on 25 April through the year 2099. The Evangelist's life and gospel remind us to share the good news about Jesus with others. And I hope you can do that today or this year. Make it something you wish to do. Peace be with all of you.